Working it backwards. If you were to say to me, how much do I have to spend? Don't tell me your budget. It doesn't matter. What are you wanting to accomplish? And I'll tell you how much it will cost. Okay? So if you're saying that you have, we know that it's going to take 12 impressions. And I know that if you're only wanting to run a schedule that's going to give you 3 gross impressions to your core target every 30 days, how long is it going to take before the cash register starts to ring? 3-4 months. Right? Be prepared. Now, if you want that cash register to ring faster, compress that 3 to 4 to 5. It means you have to buy more, get more impressions in a shorter period of time.
Okay.
Mathematically, it works. For instance, like one of the attorneys I was talking about, they wanted to hit the throttle right out of the chute. I've had different clients want to do that. Throwing money out there makes me nervous, but it works.
Really?
Boom. Hit it. Knock them out.
I would have been under the impression as a novice in advertising to think that you could overdo it in the beginning. It's better to spread it out and
it's safer.
pace yourself.
It's safer to spread it out. But sometimes clients want to do something a little bit more aggressive, and sometimes it's a good thing to do if they have a unique product and you think that the timing is right. I mean, if you just signed on, let's say, a pool company and it's July, you don't want to spread it out for 6 months.
Sure.
So timing is important. But you can also get a point of diminishing returns.
Sure.
Okay, if you compress it too much. So I don't encourage people to use up their budget up front.
Right.
Frankly, the way I'm a big chicken, so the way I like to go is more conservative and measure.
But the key is you've got to, just like in learning, you got to hear something so many times before it finally sinks in.
Right.
You've got to teach your customers, so you've got to hit them a certain number of times, unless they just have a strong interest for what you're selling at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit them a certain number of times, and whether you do it over a 6-month period or a 6-week period, you're going to have to hit them that many times.
That's right. Too often you'll hear from different folks that, you just need to hit them, 3 impressions, 50% reach in 3 impressions. That's kind of typical out there that some people throw out there. Well, 50% reach with 3 impressions over a 12-month period is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that time period. Again, because it's all mathematical.
Now, what's your opinion on some people? I know, like this guy who's always talking about brands formation. I can't remember his name right now, but he says find one medium and stick with it.
No,
whether
I
it's
disagree.
radio, whether it's TV. But then guerrilla marketing.
Who's paying his
some,
bill to come up and give that speech?
The radio station.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's not that strategy doesn't work. I've seen that work. I've used that strategy. Sometimes there's a thing where we set up a roadblock. A roadblock is, you've seen it on there like Bowflex and things like that. At 7:30, no matter what channel you're on, you are going to run into Bowflex.
Gotcha.
It's a roadblock. It's going to hit you. No way to escape it. If you want to, there's different strategies too, where if you own one particular thing, like if you're trying to reach a male audience, mid to higher income, you want to just get maybe a radio talk show, and you just own that particular thing.
Gotcha.
But here's what's happened. This has gotten crazy. It's taking more channels of marketing engaged now to work to reach that audience, because people are doing this with everything.
Sure.
It's like you and I. We get a remote at home, and
Yeah.
this is what we do. We surf. But think about it. The internet in the last 5 years have taught all of us to evaluate something under a 30-second period. You got 30 seconds. You got 15 to 30 seconds when you go to a website to engage them. And that's it. If you don't get them, it's gone. It's like a publisher in Nashville evaluating songwriters when they send them. If you don't hook me in the first 5 to 15 seconds, next, listen to the next song. Because we have that mentality, and we've grown to expect that we want it quickly, we want it delivered on our terms. We don't have the patience. So gosh, I forgot what I was saying. I got so wound up into that.
No, and I think what you're going at is you have got to apply all the different senses or hit a person in many different ways.
Thank you for bailing me out of that. Yes, exactly.
For it to sink in. And it's the same way with teaching. You know, you try and hit them visually, through word. It's interesting. You were talking about writing, and I've heard this before. Writing copy's probably never been more important than it is right now. Being able to very cleanly and succinctly get your point across because you have such little time than you did in the past.
All right, there's less copy and less copy. Websites are not going to be copy in 5 years. They're going to be television stations.
Really? That's
Websites, online videos, the fastest growing medium on webs right now. You know, optimization's out there, and it's terribly important. Pay-per-click's trying to reach the plateau, but the online video. Think about this. When you want information, when you want to know the news, do you tune into CNN to read what went on?
It's exactly why I'm filming you now, because our students, I could have written this interview, but they watch it and it sinks in so much
He
better.
did write this interview, and it's right here. No, because we want to be entertained, and we don't want to work hard to gather the information. And if I offer you information quicker, more entertaining than you having to read, and you can see the passion or the expression, you know, video offers sight, sound, motion, which all equals emotion. There's no other medium that brings all those senses into play. That's why, as far as in advertising, I was reading it today statistically, television accounts for 46% of all awareness. All the rest of them combined is the remaining.
Wow.
But television alone is 46% of brand awareness.
So if you can afford it, and if you're going to consumers, that's a great way to go, isn't it?
It's a great way to go for a particular application. Like you're going back to your question now, we've identified them down this far, and I said, okay, what is it that you're peddling? A different service, and it all varies. If you're going to be in a service that provides itself well to, let's say, broadcast, you're going to be in TV and radio, you need a jingle. Jingle has a 6-to-1 retention value.
Wow.
I've had people throw me out saying that, and I'll tell you what, when I've got them challenged enough, they came back. Matter of fact, Fairfield, I don't know if you remember, but that I'm doing all right. I got the world on a string. It's making lots of money and having a lot of fun too. That's what it was. They didn't believe me, but or the Wyndham one. This is a better one. That's why I'm working at Wyndham. Wyndham's the one. They thought I was a little bit cracked trying to put that out there. Out in Johnson City at one of the other Wyndhams, we were running the Johnson City campaigns as well. They had a parade, and there was the float going down the street, and it had the Wyndham float, and it had the managers on the top and a lot of the Wyndham employees on the bottom of the float, and they were riding along. Well, the float kind of came to a slow stop, and they started hearing the Wyndham jingle sung, and so the managers looked down expecting their employees were singing their Wyndham jingle. Their employees were not. They were looking gap mouth, open mouth off to the side, while both sides of the street were singing, "That's why I'm working at Wyndham." Now, you tell me, when you have that kind of carry and buzz, you don't have to run as much media.
Right.
That's why creative is important.
Gotcha.
And so you got to figure out the application, what they're trying to do, whether this one's a business to business. If it's a total business to business, you probably don't want them on television.
Right.
You got to find the channel that reaches to them. It may be a direct marketing. It could be a telemarketing thing. You have to find where, again, if you go back to where their target is at, find the way to reach them the most cost-effective way, and make sure that the message is relevant to their need. Kind of a simple formula, but boy, we mess it up all the time, don't we?
You know, I think, if I can speak for most of the students, are going to sit there and think, wow, there's so much more to marketing than what we're getting out of this class or anything else. And so much of it, I'm sure, is just learned out in the trenches.
Yeah. It's a great field. It's a great field. Stay in class. It's a great field.
You got any advice for 25 minds full of mush?
25 minds full of mush? Look to new technology. Okay? Look to new technology. If you're going to be in advertising, understand the business of the people that you're serving. It's one thing to make pretty pictures. It's another thing to make a nice P&L. And if you can do both, you're going to have a pretty good career.
Gotcha.
That's my advice.
Not just enough to look pretty.
No.
You got to have something upstairs, too.
You can make something look pretty, and then when they can't pay your consulting fee or your graphic design, well, you know what? I've got some wonderful artwork that's in Dipsy dumpsters.
Ron, thank you.
You're welcome.